Ever feel like you're doing all the right things and still wondering why your body feels off? You eat well, you train hard, your labs say you're fine, but deep down you know something's slipping. You're not alone and you're not crazy. I'm Daniel Rasmussen, founder of Echelon Center for Longevity, and I've spent 2 decades helping high performers like you to reverse aging, reignite vitality, and finally get answers. On Unbreakable Vitality, we go upstream. We talk peptides, stem cells, precision diagnostic testing, reversing the age of your arteries, all the innovative science-based tools to take back your health span so that your next decades are your best yet. Because aging is real, but decline is optional. Welcome to Unbreakable Vitality. This is Daniel Rasmussen, and today's episode we have a guest, and this is someone who lives at the intersection of inner resilience, emotional intelligence, and lifelong vitality. Kimberly Brown is the founder of Meditation with Heart, teacher, author, and guide who blends ancient Buddhism, wisdom, modern mindfulness, and practical tools to help people reclaim clarity, compassion, and calm. Throughout decades of training, personal healing, and guiding others, she's witnessed how mental and emotional well-being actually shape longevity, the performance in their lives, in her clients' lives, and satisfaction in life as well. So if you've ever felt that no amount of biohacking, supplements, or lab tests could quiet that inner noise, this episode may help you reframe everything you thought you knew about the healing from the inside out. Kimberly, welcome to Unbreakable Vitality. I'm honored to have you as a guest. Thank you for your gracious time. Really appreciate it today.
Daniel, I'm really glad to be here.
So I have a question. So your journey, you've spoken about how childhood trauma and early life challenges drove you toward your practices in meditation and Buddhist practices. How did that early search for peace become a life mission in teaching others and passing that forward?
Yeah. Well, I did conventional and traditional sort of practices in healing. I, for many years, was in psychotherapy and trained to be a psychotherapist. And it was very useful for me, Daniel. And I hope anyone listening will consider doing that. It's very useful. And it helped me understand, what my experiences were. And then as I guess in my 30s, I realized that I did have an understanding and I knew, why I had certain feelings or certain struggles around ambition, for example, around relationships, for example. And I understood why, but I still felt very unable to make a change. And, like I said, I could explain to you why, and that is really useful, but I didn't know where to go from there. And that's what led me into the mindfulness path. I realized that I was trying very hard to control a lot of circumstances in life, and yet I was at sort of the whim of things I couldn't control. For example, if I got the job I wanted, I felt happy. But if I didn't, I felt sad. Mm-hmm. If I, was in the relationship I wanted, oh, that's so wonderful. And then if that went south, I was devastated. So I didn't understand that life really isn't circumstantial. What I mean by that is there are many things that aren't in my control that I was trying to control. Other people, the weather, the jobs that I wanted. But the truth was that what I could actually have agency about and with is my own thoughts, my own feelings, my words, and what I choose to say, and what I choose to do. And so the tools of mindfulness, of compassion, of meditation really helped me understand what was mine and what was, yours.
Yeah.
And it's very empowering. At least for me, it's very empowering to know that, that certain things aren't up to me and I'm not even going to try, but I am going to take care of my own feelings. That's up to me. I do get to choose what I say and when I say it. And I get to choose my behaviors. I don't have to just react in the world. And for me, like I said, that's been really such an empowering way to live.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so many people find themselves in situations in their lives where things aren't going their way, for example, and knowing how to handle either the disappointment, the frustration, and how to understand that you're, like a reed in the wind almost. They're, blowing this way and that way. Politics even can set people off and just completely ruin their mental and emotional framework of viewing the world. We're kind of in a crazy time right now, and there's so many different opinions, and it's how to navigate that from an internal perspective is such a, like you mentioned, an empowering skill to develop. And it really is a skill. It doesn't come automatic, and it's not something that you arrive and earn a plaque that's forevermore yours that you can hang on the wall, right? It's a daily practice. That's such an important key concept. So, our podcast with Unbreakable Vitality is targeting, an audience, longevity community. We focus on lab biomarkers, regenerative therapies, peptide therapies, all range of things, but there's components of it that we do a lot of coaching, in mindset coaching, emotional intelligence coaching, to help people, give them the inner skills, like you've mentioned. From your work, how do you see emotional resilience and inner peace influencing long-term health, aging, and vitality?
Yeah. Well, part of it is people sometimes say to me, well, you're a meditation teacher, you're a Buddhist, does that mean I'm not supposed to plan? I'm just supposed to be in the moment? And that's not wisdom. Wisdom is what you just said, that there are things that we can do, all of us, to be healthier, to take care of our bodies, to take care of our minds, our families, the world. And the outcome of all those actions is not entirely up to us, right? We all should and can, and it's really wise to know what is the best and most likely healthy thing for us.
Absolutely.
And where people struggle is when it doesn't turn out the way they planned. And suddenly, like you said, they're in this situation of frustration and fear and anger. Okay, if you're going to live there because things didn't go your way, you are really missing out on what is actually happening and the wise choices that are now up to, now you can make wise choices. If you hang on to a plan, well, I wanted to go this way, and it doesn't, you're not going to see all the other opportunities that now are presenting themselves because you're blinded.
100%. Yeah.
This isn't to say things aren't painful or, like you said, disappointing, frustrating. That's okay. From this view, have all your feelings, have your experiences, and don't let go of your wisdom. And so also from this view, the idea of inner peace, it doesn't mean that Kim doesn't feel upset. It doesn't mean I'm not mad at, that this happened or feel so sad about a loss. But it does mean I am not saying this shouldn't have happened. Who's to blame? Why did I screw that up? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, wow, this is very painful. And how do I be with it and see what is the next wise action for me?
Beautifully said. Yeah. And that wisdom and discernment of being in the moment, just not stuffing the emotions down, but sitting with it and feeling it, actually experiencing it, is part of being in the moment. And it's so important. And yeah, I couldn't agree more when you're in this mode of something didn't go your way, starts to create a mood. The mood starts to become prolonged. A few weeks later, you don't even remember why you're in the mood anymore. And it now just becomes, the longer that mood continues on, it starts to solidify into almost like a personality trait. So some people get stuck in these emotions, anger, frustration, feeling being wronged, and then they start projecting that out, not realizing that they're attracting back those same patterns until there's a lesson that's learned and realization comes to the awareness. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So profound. I love this. So let me ask you a little bit about meditation itself. Many of our listeners are successful professionals in their 40s through their 60s. They might be stressed. They have things going on in their lives. They're looking at optimizing their bodies, but might be struggling mentally. What's one practice from your repertoire that you think could benefit a high achieving person who's might be, battling and not getting ahead of that chronic stress and potential burnout?
Yeah, beautiful. I actually work with a lot of very successful New Yorkers, a lot of mainly men. And it has been I feel very protective and compassionate for them because on the outside, it seems like, oh my God, they've got it all and it's all figured out, And then when I sit and talk with them, there's so much stress and pressure put on them from a young age, but also now internalized, like you said, concretized within ourselves, So part of when I work with people like this, they're used to doing. That's part of how they got successful. And it's usually they're very smart. So part of what I help them to do is to let go of that need to do because it adds a lot more stress. Now, if you approach your meditation practice as like, oh, that's another thing I got to check off my list, it is not going to be something that you will find as a refuge, as a place where you can really care for yourself. So that's the view I come from with meditation, not as like a tool to make you better, but rather as a way in which you can care for yourself in a very healthy way. And so the practices that I usually suggest for people is first off, just to sit by yourself without devices. This is the first step. Get rid of all your devices, even if it's only for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Sit down. Just sit down. And what is that experience like? For most of us, it sucks.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like, wait, what is going on here? Wait, I have something to do, right?
And
Or
I'm
you start
missing out on
fantasizing.
something. Missing out.
Exactly. So the practice is just to be with those feelings. You don't have to change them or like make them different, but just start to bring your attention to yourself and your own presence. That's kind of step one. And then the second step for most people, I will suggest, depending on their mind and their difficulties, I will suggest two practices. One is to sit and allow sound to enter your ears. I usually don't offer breath meditation and you can try it, but a lot of times then we just start controlling our breath. So often with beginners and especially, like I said, very successful people who, are trying to get somewhere, I want to cut through that for them. And I want them just to sit in their own presence.
Love it.
One way to do that is just to sit and, your mind will start to wander and you bring it to the sound that's coming to you. And that's it. And just sit very gently. Sounds will come and go. You don't have to make anything happen. You don't even have to really listen.
Observing. Just observing.
Exactly. It just comes in. You experience it. So those are kind of where I usually will start people. And then depending on the student, we will always start to work with what's called loving kindness practice. And this is just a very simple practice of saying, may I be safe and well. May my family be safe and well. May everyone that works for me be safe and well.
Love that.
And it's not sort of like a command or, fantasy. It's saying, I would like to create those conditions and contribute to causing happiness for myself and others.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I'm getting tingles up my spine right now. Just the simplicity and the reminder of that little practice right there is calming. Just thinking those thoughts is calming. And yeah, kind to yourself. Number one, it's got to start there, right? I love this approach where you're emphasizing that kindness toward ourselves as the core healing practice. Because if you can't be kind to yourself, you can't get past that barrier to be authentically kind to another outside yourself. So important to be aware of and reminded. It's easy to fall asleep to that. That's such a simple starting point.
Yeah.
Modern, it's interesting. Modern science shows that stress and unresolved trauma can affect even our hormone health. It triggers inflammation. It damages our telomeres and our DNA. How, in your opinion, how do traditional mindfulness and compassion practices help reset the nervous system and potentially influence your biological aging. Would you say those are connected in your opinion?
I would say that it's impossible to separate the mind from the body. And I think that's what you're speaking to. I mean, it's just not possible. And we try every day. We think like we're in our brain and that's different than our foot. And yet we are a nervous system. All the information we get comes through our bodies, right? And so these practices kind of reset this idea that we have that Kim is separate from her body. I mean, that doesn't even make sense from just a scientific standpoint.
Right. Yeah.
So these practices because what that is an idea. That's an idea in my brain. These practices allow me to experience this body, which is connected with this nervous system and this brain. And so there isn't so much of this, the Zen teachers say, the war with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I should be like this. I shouldn't be like that. My body's over here. My mind's over there. Instead, I'm experiencing this body-mind moment in this space with this light, with this sound, with these senses. And so in that way, it lets go of that duality.
Yeah. And I can see the shifting of that perspective into that holistic, what in overall simplified terms is a holistic experience, recognizing that, that the human, this physical body is sort of in my belief anyways, just a vessel housing consciousness. Consciousness is who we are first and foremost. And we have this sort of avatar body that we're navigating through, three-dimensional time-space reality to evolve and grow and learn, and separating those. Some people forget that they are not their body. It is a higher connection point, but the body will suffer if their consciousness diminishes into stress and worry and frustration. Those heavier, denser emotions on a vibrational level actually trigger accelerated aging, DNA damage. It's harming. We work with a lot of individuals with autoimmune conditions. Mm-hmm. And boy, talk about a reliable trigger that is without a doubt activated by their autoimmune condition. Is one of the top triggers is a mental, emotional, chronic stress. And it cannot be discounted away from the whole perspective of looking at their health and their longevity. And it's not just about trying to live longer, it's just trying to live better, right?
Yes.
Live a higher quality of life without having a future of diminishing health and increasing morbidity. And stress has got to be a part of that picture. You mentioned an event that's coming up in January that you're...
Yes.
I would like to give you a chance to put what this event is that you're putting on and share with the audience, and anybody that'd like to reach out and look into it a little further, how they can get in touch with you regarding that.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, every year, actually, this is the 10th year. In January, I offer an intention setting ceremony. It's an hour and a half. This year, it's on January 12th via Zoom, so everybody can join us. And what we'll do is we'll learn what an intention really is, a motivation. It's not quite the same as a resolution, Mm-hmm. It's a way that we can orient what we were talking about, our words and our emotions and our actions. And then we will, I'll lead us in a guided meditation to really root that intention in our body-mind system, our nervous system. And, then we'll offer a little bit of kindness, of wisdom to ourselves and everyone else for the new year. So I hope that your listeners, if you're interested, all the info's on my website, meditationwithheart.com, and I hope you'll join.
Beautiful. Now, if for anyone that's, not necessarily Buddhist, or, they might not be familiar with Buddhism, is it a requirement, or is there anything there that they would need to step into that philosophy, that background? What would you suggest for anyone that's got that little question mark?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you're asking that. I practice Buddhism and I use these tools because they're very useful.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to make more Buddhists. These practices will work for everyone. Lots of them are science based.
Mhm.
And you don't need to have any experience with meditation or mindfulness or the Buddhist tradition or any tradition to join this program or any of my programs because it's pretty secular and they're simple. Most of the tools are pretty simple.
Awesome. Beautiful. Oh gosh. Well, I'm running a little out of time. We got a little bit of a late start, so I wanted to bump it up a little bit so we could go through some of these main talking points. Gosh, I want to just keep going. This is such an engaging. I can talk about this stuff all day long. It's fascinating. I want to thank you, Kimberly, for sharing your wisdom, your humility, your heart with our listeners today, and for everyone listening and feeling that pull between, the high performance, the longevity, and the peace of mind. I encourage you to explore what you heard today. If you want to try meditation, explore self-compassion, or start building inner resilience, please check out meditationwithheart.com. Follow Kimberly on her Instagram at Kimberly J. Brown, or sign up for her weekly Substack. If you're serious about living longer, stronger, remember your biology is only part of the story. Your mind, your heart, your inner world, that's where sustainable vitality begins. And so until next time on Unbreakable Vitality, stay curious, stay open, and treat your inner world with the care it deserves. Thank you so much, Kimberly. It's wonderful meeting you and speaking with you. What a great conversation today. Thank you so much. Very grateful for you appearing and making the time for this.
Oh, what a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you, Daniel.
If you're feeling like your energy, your edge, or your clarity just isn't what it used to be, you're not alone. But you're also not stuck. Every week on Unbreakable Vitality, we explore real strategies to reverse aging, reclaim vitality, and rewrite what's possible. If today's episode gave you even one insight, pass it on. Then go take the free vascular age quiz at echelon-longevity.com/quiz to see how your body's aging. Subscribe, leave a review, and follow us because your future isn't on autopilot. You are building it and you're just getting started.